Possibly the wave will peak in the big cities within the next 7 to 10 days and then spread to other parts. But how equipped are our cities at the moment? How are people on the ground seeing the situation? That's what I'm going to raise. Is this wave limited for now to the big metros? Is the worst over, or is it still to come? Can health infra handle the surge at the moment? Joining me now, Dr. J. Radhakrishnan is Health Secretary, Government of Tamil Nadu. Dr. Kunal Sarkar is Kolkata's leading cardiac surgeon. Dr. Rahul Pandit is member of Maharashtra's COVID-19 task force. Dr. Suranjit Chatterjee is senior physician in the national capital. Appreciate all of you joining us. I'm going to come to each of you, spread across different parts of the country, to tell us how you see the situation in your part of the world. Dr. Rahul Pandit, to you first, because Mumbai is where it all started. But in the last 3 days, we've seen numbers relatively under control in terms of cases. Some would say that's a function of test rate. But your general perception, is the worst over as far as Mumbai is concerned? Will we see the wave peaking in the next few days in Mumbai? Or is it already flattening?
Good evening, Rajdeep. I don't think it has already plateaued. I think we will see the wave coming up shortly into the peak in maybe a few days, maybe a week's time or so. If I look at the numbers today, the today numbers are again 18,000 plus with a test positivity rate of 24.3%. And what we saw the last 3 or 4 days probably was a combination of the weekend effect plus people who were doing home tests were not reporting their test, and then probably now they have started to report, and they have also increased the testing in the last few days. I also see that possibly with the new testing rules by the Government of India, where you're going to test only symptomatic patients, you may actually see a test positivity rate jump up very high, because right now if you look at the testing metrics, around 75 to 85% of the patients are completely asymptomatic in Mumbai. And if that means that we are going to only test symptomatic patients, we may see a very huge spike in the test positivity rate, though the numbers might remain more or less the same. Now, let's come to the ground reality. Ground reality is with the physicians and the general practitioners spread across the city who actually have the pulse of what is happening at the ground. If you ask them and you talk to them, I was speaking to a few of them this morning, they have seen a dip of around 20% patients come into their outpatient departments. And so have I seen around 20% decrease in the teleconsults and the flu OPD which are coming across. So I hope that this actually is a real dip in the cases, and we see that in the next few days, probably the numbers would remain same, and then we could say that the wave has really reached its peak and it's flattened out. So that's the ground reality. In terms of hospitalization, we have hospitalization increased slightly, which was expected. I was always expecting that it always follows the peak, follows the cases. So the hospitalization has increased, at least in the private sector. There are still lots of empty beds. More than 60-70% of the beds in ICUs are empty, which is a good news. But hospitalization, nevertheless, in the last 2 or 3 days, we have got more requests for admissions and more patients turning up to emergency department who are, again, incidental COVID is a big aspect. Actually, rather than patients requiring oxygen, I have got strokes, I've got GI bleeds, I've got traumas, I've got all sorts of medical and surgical patients who are not respiratory patients who are turning COVID positive but requiring ICU care.
Okay, interestingly, you've given us a sense then of the good news and the not so good news. Let's turn to Delhi, because cases have climbed up in Delhi over the last few days. But I just heard the Delhi health minister claiming that he believes that the wave is about to peak. Dr. Chatterjee, is that a sense you get? That again in Delhi, hospitalizations still relatively low, but in the last 24 hours, 40 deaths have also been reported. How do you see the situation in Delhi? Is the worst over?
I still don't think that the worst is over, but what I'm expecting is in the next couple of days, we might just peak, because I would say that today or yesterday, as the previous speaker said, that even in Delhi, I could see less number of calls and less number of people who were trying to come to the hospital. But yes, hospitalizations have increased in the last couple of days, but still we are left with a lot of beds in the hospital. They are not over-occupied the way it was in the second wave. What I can see is in the next couple of days, Delhi might peak and then the downward trend might start. So I would agree with the health minister at this moment that this is what we are watching. Even at the ground level, we are seeing that the levels might just show a downward trend in the next couple of days.
And very few, Dr. Chatterjee, with respiratory issues. Most of those who are even coming to hospital do not seem to have the kind of respiratory issues that they had when the Delta wave was overwhelming the country in April, May. Am I correct?
Definitely. Very few people with respiratory issues. Hardly there were in our hospital where I worked, there's Apollo Hospital, Delhi. There were only 5 patients on a ventilator, and even others who were on in the ICU had other systemic illnesses which was putting them in the ICU. So the oxygen requirement and the ventilatory requirement, including the non-invasive ventilatory requirement, is much less than what we saw in the Delta variant. So this time we are catering to a group of patients which are mostly the younger patients are still not coming.
Mm-hmm. Right. Let me turn from there for a moment to Calcutta, because Dr. Kunal Sarkar, some of the figures for Bengal, pure numbers are very high in terms of positivity rate. But again, in the last couple of days, some signs that maybe those numbers are plateauing. And again, very few hospitalizations. Am I getting that sense that even in Kolkata, there is hope that maybe the worst is over?
Rajdeep, just a quick comment on what Bhramar Mukherjee was saying about tracking this third wave. And the first comment is that, it's a different ball game altogether, because tracking the disease is getting dissociated from test numbers. And that, to a large extent, as Dr. Pandit said, has been kind of legitimized by what ICMR issued as the guidelines yesterday. A lot of it is justified. So even we are in the habit of throwing at ourselves the R numbers, etc. R numbers, which are proportionately calculated from the active cases, is also going to be increasingly fallacious. So I think we need to, and India does not have a symptom tracker. So if you don't have a symptom tracker and you're only depending on counting cases, tracking this game is going to be very difficult. Now, Bengal started up with heroic positivity rates. Calcutta started up thanks to our leniency during Durga Puja, during Christmas, etc. Honestly, I think our positivity rate sometime a couple of weeks ago was well in excess of 50%. I think only Goa has done better. At some stage, Goa had recorded 60% positivity rate. So we were perilously high. And I think that is coming down. Our hospitalization rate has stayed around, for the first few days, around 5%. Now it is down to around 3%. And we do get a sense in the private hospital that the clamor for hospital beds are on the way down. Definitely it is. But Bengal finds itself cloaked in another controversy, which is testing. Because you may be aware of the fact that our young and energetic MP Abhishek Banerjee has launched a scheme in his constituency, and by ramping up testing, he has got his positivity rate down from 25% to about 2%. But what that has meant is that 60% of the tests have been done in one Lok Sabha constituency, whilst the rest of the state is not doing very cleverly as far as testing rates are concerned. So I have a feeling, I would agree with what Bhramar Mukherjee said, that probably within a week we expect Kolkata to peak, but it would be peaking at a dangerously high positivity rate. So it's like balancing at the end of a precipice. Let's see where we go.
Let me turn to Chennai. Dr. J. Radhakrishnan, Health Secretary, Tamil Nadu, is joining us. Dr. Radhakrishnan, give us a sense of where Chennai and indeed Tamil Nadu stand at the moment in combating Omicron.
Just like the other states which you mentioned, probably just next to them, we are also going up, and it's roughly around 17,000 odd cases, 11% positivity, but fairly high positivity in Chennai, Chengalpet, which are surrounding 3 districts. And generally what happens in the first 2 waves also, subsequently the southern districts catch up and gradually it goes to western districts. So that's the kind of figure. But I generally tend to agree with all the other panelists that, this time it is, we need to focus not on the numbers which gets thrown up, but what's the level of hospitalization. And Chennai's, Tamil Nadu, generally the tendency of hospitalization is higher. So we have roughly around 11% of the active cases getting hospitalized, but the ICU cases so far has been only 1. unlike the Delta peak, which had, almost 25% kind of overall hospitalization, and ICU cases are also quite high. So we are, but a bit concerned because, we also have still remnants of Delta throwing up. If you look at all the ICU, suppose if you have 75 people in ICU, majority of them are Delta cases. Whereas I agree with the other people's point also that whoever is coming with S gene dropout, which eventually turns out to be whatever sample we sent for whole genomic sequencing as Omicron, they too have come with very, very mild kind of symptoms and not with complication, except that when everybody becomes, incidentally COVID also becomes Omicron positive, there is a general tendency of, some level of mortality is there. So it will start giving a picture that in Omicron also deaths have increased, because they will be coming to a hospital for some other issue, but they become positive. So we are worried that Pongal leave is coming, whatever best we try and do, it is really travel will increase, and we have the number of activities associated with Bengal. We have been telling people that instead of analyzing that the virus is misbehaving, mutating, and all, we need to know that we have started in the last 1 month, by the month of December itself, everybody had written off everything, and we have started misbehaving. So despite our best interest, the fish markets, the main trading center, it is more symbolic, all the standard operating procedures. So we have to really do it. Otherwise, we'll definitely, considering the kind of thing is that...
You made an important point, You made an important point, Dr. Radhakrishnan, that Pongal is coming. So fears again that whenever there are these mass gatherings, numbers go up. But the good news that all of you are giving is that hospitalization rates across India's cities remain low and much lower than they were certainly during the second wave. But one of the concerns is doctors themselves. Dr. Pandit, a number of doctors are themselves out there falling victim to Omicron, and there is a fear that if the health workers, frontline health workers, fall ill in large numbers, then that affects health infrastructure. Isn't that a real concern, Dr. Pandit?
Oh, it's actually already there, Rajdeep. If I would say that the first wave was about PPE kits and medications, second wave was about oxygen and beds, third wave is about healthcare personnel to actually look after patients in the hospital. That's what the problem is. Right now, all hospitals across may have between 5 to 15% of their healthcare workers in the various stages of Omicron positivity. Some of them may be returning, some of them may have just become positive, and that is true with my department. That is true with many other departments as well. So I think that's one of the ironies that this time we have got very high positivity rate amongst the people who work in the hospital, not just doctors, nurses, administrators, X-ray technicians, sonographers. Everyone is susceptible and is catching up an infection.
Let me therefore ask each of you, starting with you, Dr. Chatterjee, if there was one concern you have going ahead, if there is one some red alarm that you want to flag off today, a red flag that you want to give us today, what is that, Dr. Chatterjee?
It is basically the very high transmissibility of the virus which is worrying me, because as the denominator would go high, the number of admissions as they would follow might just go up, and that would be a stress on the healthcare system. So that is what I'm really worried about. Till now, we are very comfortably placed with all the number of cases that are happening with very few hospitalizations. But as the denominator would go up, the sick patients, the vulnerable people might just start coming to the hospital, and the healthcare system might be under stress. And as you said just previously, that the healthcare people, unfortunately this time, the doctors, nurses, radiologists, everybody is falling sick and prey to this virus. So we need to be really careful, and that is why it is important that we have a very, very appropriate COVID appropriate behavior. Vaccination should be done at the earliest. That is what I'm looking at.
I just have a minute, Dr. Sarkar. You want to give a red flag? We were together in Bengal during the elections, during the second wave, and we saw how cases crept up at that time. Is there a fear in these election-bound states that as the rallies will once again push ahead, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Goa, these are worries. Many of them have low vaccination levels like Punjab.
Absolutely, Rajdeep. I mean, in Bengal, we suffered like hell because Soon after the Bengal elections finished, we had the upsurge of the second wave in Bengal. And we haven't finished with it yet because we're still aspiring to have local elections in Bengal, and there is a big religious festival going around. So we had tried our best to minimize the crowds and, if possible, defer all these activities. But as you know, as it always happens, we have not been successful. So we go on praying and hoping for the best, because we want this wave to come down. If there is one thing forgiving about the Omicron, and that is it goes up quick and it comes down quick. And we request the politicians and the lawmakers not to make things worse by aggravating things with political events and religious fervor. If we just refrain from doing that, I think within a month we should be out of the woods.
Okay, those are sobering thoughts on which to conclude. As always, it's a pleasure talking to such articulate voices, giving us a sense of calm. Absolutely no need to panic, but also you cannot simply be complacent when it comes to COVID-19. Thank you all very much for joining me here on the news today.